So Vanguard have just announced that they're going to be introducing a £4 a month fee for smaller investors, and it's suffice to say, people are not happy at all. But is this as big a deal as everyone is making it out to be? I mean, if you have £32,000 invested with them, is a £4 a month fee really going to derail your investment goals? Or is it all just a little bit of a storm in a teacup? But that's what I want to try and explore in this video. So I'm going to explain why Vanguard will be charging these fees, what those fees cover, who is going to be hit worst by this. Let's first talk about some context of what the changes are and when they're actually coming in first, just so we can get clear on that. The £4 a month charge is going to kick in on the 31st of January 2025, so a little over a month from now in the new year, essentially. And this £4 a month charge is only going to apply for people who have less than £32,000 invested with them on their platform. Now, this won't impact me because I've got more than that with them. But if you are on that lower end of the spectrum in terms of your portfolio size, this will be something that you need to pay attention to. Now, to be clear, this is not going to be on top of their platform fee. This is in replacement of their platform fee. And when you do the comparisons at the minute, because the platform fee is 0.15%, this £4 a month means that you're going to be paying roughly about 3 times more than what you're currently paying right now. Now, what is the reason for them actually doing this? This is a line that has been quoted. They're saying that, a growing need for low-cost platforms basically means higher operating costs. And this is something that came from Ben Summers at Vanguard. He says the introduction of the minimum fee is necessary to help us cover the rising costs of serving our clients. Now, in September this year, they finally launched their app. People have been asking for it for years, but no, it was a desktop thing. They've delivered that. And unfortunately, an app like that costs money to develop, to put in place in the first place, and it also costs money to maintain and to keep running for the benefit of their customers. So when they do things like this, I think it was only a matter of time before you start to see some kind of increase to their charges, because they have to cover that cost, because they are a business at the end of the day. One thing that was also said here, and I think that the latter part of this statement I'm about to read you has gone amiss in some of the commentary out there right now. It says here that one of the reasons why they're doing this is because the charges will enable them to continue investing in new features, products, and services for their customers. And the fee and a reminder that their fee structure remains transparent with no hidden charges or exit fees. And this is true. This is the great thing about Vanguard. They've been around since 1975. They have pioneered low-cost investing. And Jack Bogle was very, very focused on that. And I feel like some of the commentary that I've seen online have forgotten that they're still the forerunners in this. And we'll do some comparisons in a moment to see how they stack up against some of the competition. But they pioneered low-cost investing. And to see an increase in fees is never going to be something that is taken palatably with consumers. But we have to think about the wider context as well. So let's talk a little bit about what platform fees are charged for, because I think this is something that maybe we forget because it's Vanguard, because the service is so great that they have infrastructure in the background that they have to pay for. The first is tech. We spoke about the app already. Costs money to develop, costs money to maintain, costs money to continue to provide. But I think things like, compliance regulations often forgotten about. But the FCA have really strict standards that these companies have to meet. And as a company, it costs time and money to ensure that you're able to continually meet those standards and exceed those standards, as a company like Vanguard and a lot of the companies that I know will want to do. Then you think about things like customer services. The fact that whenever you want to speak to someone at Vanguard, you're speaking to a real person in the UK who's very knowledgeable and help you get your problem or your question answered relatively quick. I've not had to phone them a lot during the time that I've been with them, but the times when I have had to phone them, never been on hold for more than 2 minutes. And when someone does pick up the phone, very efficient, very, very easy to deal with. I never find myself getting frustrated, and that's saying something. The other thing is research and education. We forget that the tools, the things that they provide to help us make better investment decisions, those are integral to our own journeys. But again, having a research team, that costs money. Getting professionals in place so that when they build an ETF, they are making it in the right way, or they're building a life strategy. They're building it in the right way. That costs money. And I think we forget those things. And again, we have to remember that they've been going for a long time and they are the pioneers of low cost investing. Let's do a visual breakdown of what this £4 a month is going to look like. And I'm going to present this to you in a graphic form so that you can visually see this. Now, as you can see on the graph right here, there is a spike at the lower end of the graph. So this is where if you have anywhere between, say, £1,000 to £5,000, you're going to get hit the hardest here, because at £1,000, it means that effectively you're paying 4.8% as a fee, which is quite a lot, not going to lie. But this will only be an issue if you are the kind of person where you're not planning to add any money to this £1,000 and you're not looking to compound interest, right? If that's all you have, then it may be a valid question to ask yourself, should I move and go somewhere else? The reality is, when you start looking at this graph, the more you start to build in your portfolio, and I've got some numbers here that I'm just going to throw out there. So once you get to £10,000, this £48 a month then becomes 0.48% annually. At £20,000, it's 0.24% annually. At £30,000, it's 0.16% annually. So as you can see, the more you start to build in your portfolio, the less significant this charge is going to be from a percentage point of view, and definitely from a monetary point of view, because you've got more in the portfolio, right? So the lesson here is you're definitely going to get hit hard if you're at the lower end of the spectrum here, and that's all you have, and you're not planning to add any more money to it. How does it stack up when comparing them to maybe some competitors? And I'm talking Hargreaves Lansdown, AJ Bell, and maybe Interactive Investor. Now, I've got two graphs here, but I'm going to run you through numbers first, and I'm going to show the visual graph a little bit later on. So these are the numbers. So with Vanguard, it's £4 a month, £48 per year, regardless of whether you've got a £10,000, £20,000, £30,000 portfolio, that yearly amount is the same, which I think is still very, very competitive. Now, at Hargreaves Lansdown, they charge 0.45% annually, so it's £40, £45 if you have a £10,000 portfolio, £90 if you have a £20,000 portfolio, and £135 if you have a £30,000 portfolio. With AJ Bell, they charge 0.25%, so it's £25 at £10,000, £50 at £20,000, and £75 at £30,000 a portfolio size. Interactive Investor also has kind of like a flat kind of fee. That is £4.99 a month, which is £59.88 per year. So again, they're flat. But if you do the comparison on here, what you're going to find is that Vanguard in this context is still the better value, regardless of whether you're at £10,000, £20,000, £30,000. Worthwhile just bearing in mind. Here's a visual of this in graphs and lines for those of you who like this kind of stuff. You have to be asking yourself the right question. And the question is, do you see value in it? Now, how do you come to this kind of understanding with yourself? What I would do is perhaps look at the portfolio that you're in right now. You may have the S&P 500 ETF, for example. The last 6 months of this year, I think that portfolio, that ETF has done something like 13% or so. The question you have to ask yourself is, if you've got a 13% return and you're paying 4.8% because you've only got £1,000 in there, you minus that off, is the net position still worth it for you? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Now, past performance has no indication of future performance, but if you were to gain that same performance or semblance of that performance in 2025, and you were still at £1,000 paying 4.8% annually for this, is it worthwhile? That's how you're going to come to the correct answer. It's not for me to tell you what you should do, but you have to ask yourself that honest question. Now, if you have £1,000 and you know you're going to continually invest in this thing monthly to compound, then really this should not be an issue at all, because your portfolio size is going to grow. And that £48 per month is going to be a lower percentage of the amount that you're effectively going to have in your portfolio. So you need to really have some critical thinking and think about this from a practical point of view, and also from the perspective of, what are your goals? What are you doing this for? Does it impact your ability to achieve the said goal? If it does, then perhaps you do want to move. Please do let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Are you surprised, disappointed at Vanguard, or do you think it's just business as usual? I don't know. My opinion is that it's business as usual because all businesses have costs, and at the end of the day, typically businesses will always pass that cost on to consumers. So this is just par for the course, in my opinion. But let me know what you think. Catch you later.